Previously on The Walking Dead.
Dad, we're holding things together with plastic and tape. We need better tools. Someone who's trained to use them.
There's a place a lot like this one. The leader might take you in.
You're gonna take them to Hilltop.
With you.
Whoa. Need a ride, stranger?
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Indie Radio presents Talking About Walkers, the Walking Dead podcast, the show that breaks down all new episodes of your favorite zombie TV show, right here on indieradio.org. And now, here are the hosts of the podcast, Kinte, Jen, and Olaf. Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of Talking About Walkers, the Walking Dead podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kinte, all the way live from Los Angeles, California, and I am so happy to be here with you wonderful people tonight. I know last week we weren't on, so we're going to talk a little bit about last week's episode as well, but mostly it's going to be all about the episode that we have tonight. So let me introduce my crew. I'm going to start off with the one and only, all the way from Hawaii, Jen. How you doing, Jen?
Great. It's a little chilly out here in Hawaii. I think we hit a low last night of about maybe 60. So, yeah, it was really cold. Sorry for everybody else that doesn't think that that's cold. It was really cold. We had sweat jackets and hot chocolate.
Well, I'm from LA, so yeah, 60 is cold. That's me. I gotta have my my mitts on and all of that stuff.
Right?
That's all of that stuff. So, but I'm glad that you braved the cold to be with us tonight.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. And also joining us is the one and only, the Captain Olaf Barbosa himself. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? It's like, I'm sorry you had that cold weather of 60 degrees, because for me yesterday, it was, I think, 25. Now today was a heat wave. We had a whole whopping 56 today, so.
Whoa, break out the shorts. Ooh.
Yeah, almost did. As I went to work, almost broke out the shorts because, it's 56 degrees, here in the great state of Indiana. So. We actually had snow yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it didn't stick, but it didn't stick around, but it was cold enough it actually snowed.
Wow.
Fun stuff. But yeah, it's always fun and enjoyable to be here and to chat up the show with you guys. Interesting episode tonight. So
it was. We're gonna chop it up. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the last episode. Episode 6, Who Are You Now? But I think we can just talk about both of the episodes as one. And in the previous episode, they introduced some new characters, and they did a huge, obviously, time jump, which they did at the end of the episode 5. So now we're 2 episodes in with these new characters, and there's quite a bit of conflict. And, the first conflict was, will they not keep them? And are they hiding stuff about their past? And Michonne having to deal with this idea of should she or shouldn't she not, let these people in, ultimately not deciding to let them into her own place, but take them to some other place, the Hilltop. So I'm going to start off with you, Jen. What do you think about these new additions to the character? And also, one being deaf.
Okay, so new additions. First of all, I know we didn't get to talk at all last week, but last week's episode felt really good. I liked it. I like the people that came in, except... wait, I shouldn't say it that way. I really like the idea that there's new people, because every time there's new people, there's always drama. But I really liked the sort of diversity in this sort of new little group. And if you read the graphic novel, then you'll know that Magna is actually a fairly important character. I don't know what they're going to do with her in the series, but in the comic, she's got a big role to play. So it was kind of cool to see her.
Which character is that?
Magna.
Which is the?
That's the one that has the tattoo on her chest.
The knives. She was the one
knives.
that had the knives. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the other one that I really liked is that I really liked, and I'm sorry, I forgot her name, but she's the woman who's deaf.
Yeah.
I really liked her. I just that there's some interplay between them all, which is really kind of cool. What was interesting to me about that new group was
that's Nora.
First, Nora, thank you. What was interesting to me about that new group was how far Alexandria has come in terms of being willing to accept or not accept. And also, wow, Michonne really stepped up to leadership, didn't she?
Yeah. She is the boss.
Right? I don't know. I guess maybe I'm not too surprised, but I was a little bit surprised at how everybody in Alexandria sort of fell into line behind her decision, even if they didn't agree with her. That I found that really interesting.
Yeah, but she was kind of moving towards that position even for a while now. And there was even when Rick was still around and everything, it was, oh, Rick's not here. Hey, Michonne, what are we going to do? You can kind of see things going to her as the second in command. If Rick wasn't around, she was in charge. So, or that's the way I saw it, is that she was, she's been being groomed as being the head of it for a little while.
Yeah, it was just interesting to kind of see her in a position. Well, because you're right. Of course, she definitely was sort of the number two person, if you will. But the interesting thing to me was watching how even when people didn't seem to agree with her, they really wanted her seal of approval. There was just something interesting about that dynamic. And also, wow, Michonne is very mistrusting.
Mm-hmm. That's actually, that's early Michonne,
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning, that's how she was.
I guess there was part of like what you're saying, the thing like tonight is like when you're seeing her in the lead position is because now she is the one in charge because there's nobody else. So it kind of gives a little different dynamic to her performance and like seeing her in the leadership position because it's not a second in command now. She is, top dog in charge.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Which, she does does well. Very good. Very good at it. And like you said, people want to listen.
Yeah. So let's talk about the music teacher, his character. Let's start off there. And because I think that, he's one that obviously stand out. That's Luke, by the way. He stood out pretty well. And, he seems like he has a little comedy relief. He has that thing working for him, and maybe they need a character like him, that might have been lacking. Overall, what do you guys think about Luke?
He reminds me of Eugene, not in a direct correlation, but just in sort of a character kind of like that you think maybe. Not that we didn't think at the beginning that Eugene was important, because obviously he was, lying and all of that stuff. But this character feels like a Eugene later. Like, maybe you don't think you really need them, but maybe you really
Luke is Eugene's father. It's like, Eugene is Luke's father. Yes. I am your father. Somebody had to do it, so Eugene.
Also, one interesting thing that I think that they're trying to do this season, this like break, not break this in the well, I'll call it the post Rick aspect, the post-Rick apocalypse. It feels like they are trying to introduce a little bit more diversity into not just the character base, but into sort of the character skill set. And in a strange way, that kind of sets it up to be a little bit more interesting, because it's great to have fighters, but eventually that becomes nothing but weekly cowboys and Indians with, it just doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of substance there. But when you introduce characters that have a lot more skill sets or have interesting and diverse paths that they can contribute things to the communities with, then that starts to feel like, yeah, okay. A friend of mine said, I'm not watching The Walking Dead anymore because it's turned into just one giant zombie soap opera. And I thought about that for a little while, and I thought, yeah, but in a way, that's actually what people want. They want weekly drama that feels like, yeah, okay, we're following these people's stories. This is what we're doing. Does that make sense?
No, it makes absolutely perfect sense what you're saying. I mean, and I feel like that too. To be honest with you, and this may sound sacrilegious, but I don't care much for the zombie action as much as I used to.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, it's almost like, okay, they have to, obviously they have to have it in there. And if it was not there, it wouldn't be, obviously I wouldn't like that either. But, it's just kind of like, okay, get through it. Okay. And then,
well,
but some of it too with the walkers and stuff, it's like going, you got to wonder, I was like, okay, how many years can this dead body keep walking around before it deteriorates into nothing? That's what I keep wondering, is how many years these walkers are going to continue to walk around before they're dead. So, they should start decomposing some time.
How are these walking?
It depends though. It depends on how fast they are replenishing their numbers.
Right.
So, I mean, we're seeing a small little geographic area, but we have no idea what's happening to the north or the south or the east or the west of them. And so because of that, there could be whole populations that get turned pretty quickly. I mean, we saw how fast and how tenuous the entire situation in Alexandria was. And if all of those people had gotten turned, that would have turned into, a little mini group that would have then been off roaming the countryside. I don't know. I mean, like, I could see sort of how this continues and how it, but, and I do think in episodes past, we have seen the makeup department, the special effects department, do a really good job of showing us what happens to the walkers as they decompose and start to deteriorate. And so clearly those become less of a threat. But and even in tonight's episode, where we saw one of the walkers who the flesh of his leg was so bad that as he was pulling toward Daryl and the dog, all the flesh actually just fell apart and it lurched him forward. So I mean, I think they're actually trying.
Yeah, it kind of appears that. Yeah, it kind of seems that way. Like you said, they're kind of like starting to actually fall apart.
Which they should, right? I mean, they absolutely should. But again, there's always going to be I feel like there's always going to be fresh walkers until we figure out, what comes at the end. So,
I almost don't want to mention. I don't know if y'all saw the next on, like, what's going to come next.
Yeah,
I did.
I probably shouldn't even bring it up, but what the hell? Did y'all see? Please tell me. I know we want to break down the whole episode, and I'm skipping ahead, but please tell me walkers weren't talking.
They're not.
Yeah.
This is part of the Whisperers. So, and I won't give anything away by spoiling what the Whisperers are, but this is not what you think it is. It's not. This is not walkers talking.
If I was about to just say this, the end of the show. Like, okay.
Well, and we know that that's not even possible, right? Because we remember from the CDC how he explained about the disconnect. I can't remember the exact words, but there's a disconnect in the brain, and only one function of the brain is basically keeping the zombies alive.
It's the
So
primal food drive.
right, and so I mean, there's like literally no way that they could be talking, but nobody else knows that. I mean, none of the people who are on the ground would know that. None of the people who are experiencing the terror of hearing Rosita and Eugene hearing somebody, it sounds like the walkers are talking. I mean, that would freak me right the heck out too. Mildly.
Mildly.
Well, then they become talkers. Walker. Then they become walkie-talkies.
It's quite ingenious. Again, without spoiling anything, it's really ingenious what the whisperers really are, because there's a whole kind of interesting idea behind it, which in the comics is really good. I really enjoyed this part. It was interesting. It was unique. It's a bit adversarial, but it's so cool. I think everybody's gonna like it a lot. It feels like the show is moving in that direction, but it also feels like a really slow rollout, which in some ways is good. I feel like the last episode and this episode are sort of like we have to catch up on 6 years of understanding what's been happening between the groups, and we know that Sanctuary fell apart, and those people are basically all gone now, thanks to Carol. So we know right now that the two thriving communities are Hilltop and Alexandria, and just kind of getting to know what's been happening with them while still introducing new characters and still kind of moving the plot forward. It feels like a big chunk, but I have to say that both of these episodes have felt a little slow to me. Good, but a little slow.
Yeah.
What did you guys think?
No, I agree. It was really slow.
Like I was ready for something sort of big to happen in this episode, and it, not that I wasn't happy to learn all the information that I did, but I feel like it could have gone a bit faster. Also, I really didn't understand, and I hope that I do in next episodes, but I really didn't understand why we had to spend so much time with Daryl and Carol in his little camp.
Right.
To make us want to have Daryl go with Henry. I mean, I'm sure there was a purpose there. Daryl is now feral. God, I feel like Dr. Seuss. I don't know what the point was of that.
Well, I think part of it was to show off his animal naming skills for his dog. And it's like going, and I'm sorry, he had a very creative name for his dog. It was Dog. It's Dog. Okay.
Oh, hilarious. Yeah, well, I guess that's what it is.
I mean, it was interesting to see, okay, well, Daryl's been gone a long time, and Carol's clearly worried about him, but and again, this could have something to do with the 6-year time jump. We know Michonne and sounds like Maggie had a pretty big falling out, and I don't think it was related to Negan either. But maybe there's something that happened between Daryl and Maggie, because weren't they just like buddy? I mean, again, obviously we don't have enough information, but from the information that we do have, the point of seeing him in that camp felt really like it was just sort of stuck in there, and it just didn't, I don't know, it just felt weird. Maybe it was just fan service so we could get Daryl back in the picture.
Well, and it was, like I said, it was to show off his it's like his dog naming skills, plus his culinary skills, by skinnings, shooting the snake and cutting the head off and then peeling it and eating it, and all it was his culinary skills and his like pet naming skills. That's what it was about.
Oh man, I am not asking him over for Thanksgiving dinner. I'm sorry.
Well, you got it covered though.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be snakeless, that's for sure.
Oh, well then I'm not eating that. You're hilarious. I don't know. So, all right. So, um, yeah, I didn't care too much for the Daryl storyline. To be honest with you, uh, I feel you on that. And oh, just so people know, the people that are listening, you can let your voices be heard. Just message us in the top chat, which is on the right side, and it's on the section that says "Say Something." Okay, sorry about that. I had to get that out the way.
I wanted to be excited for the Daryl storyline because I had heard so much pre-hype about how Daryl is supposed to be kind of the big and upcoming thing, but this felt like such a I don't know, a whimper into the character that it just wow. And again, maybe they'll redeem themselves and maybe something awesome will happen, but it's funny because Carol is the one that I am the most interested in right now. And I feel like I haven't been that invested in Carol in a really long time. And right now, she seems like she's got a lot of stuff going on. And that's awesome.
Mm. Yeah, because you love you some Carol, don't you?
I do. She's amazing. You know what makes Carol amazing? What makes Carol amazing is the utter ability that she has to be exactly who she needs to be at every given moment. That is some serious post-apocalyptic survival skill right there.
And she bakes good cookies.
I mean, no kidding. She can use subterfuge. She can be a loving, caring person. She can, be a mom. She can care about dare. I don't know. She's got a lot of stuff. And plus two, she is a badass. When she lit all those people on fire, holy smokes! That, yeah, pardon the pun. I really was uh both in awe and sort of like, whoa, that's a big leap.
Mm. I
Didn't
don't
you guys think so? You didn't think anything about that?
like corny as heck. That was so corny.
Okay, well, not the end result. I'm talking about Carol's action. Carol's
Well,
action was pretty
she's
amazing.
she was just refining her culinary skills and trying to have a weenie roast.
Oh, is that what it was?
Definitely
See
wrote.
what I take away from that is just don't mess with Carol's relationships because you don't want to be on her bad side.
Well, I kind of like the dude from Entourage as a baddie. Maybe they should have kept him on. I love. So what? He disappeared for 6 years and then came back, and but they should have kept him in the mix. I actually liked him. They had established him, and I liked. They should have maybe they. I know they got some new plans, but I'm just saying.
In a strange way, I feel like this is Sanctuary's. It's their final justice. They were just they just couldn't fall into line. They simply didn't have a place in the new world, and so they sort of had to die off because nobody is Negan anymore. Well, except Negan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Also, can we just give a quick shout out to Judith for telling Negan that the only reason that she talks to him when she's doing math is because you don't have to be a good person to do math. I mean, I just love that. Man, I like that girl. She's got some serious.
That sounds like something you would say.
Why? Maybe that's why I like it.
I guess maybe I have a cold heart.
Also, looking at Hilltop for the first time after the 6 years, wow, those people have been industriously busy.
I know. We're talking about good leadership. See, it's the leadership. It's Jesus. When you get behind Jesus, that's what happened.
I feel like there's a metaphor in there somewhere hiding.
One group is following Jesus, and the other they look what they're doing, and then another one is following Ezekiel.
Oh wow! So they are bringing the new people to Jesus. This is wow. This is getting really meta. Ooh,
That's very meta, yes. See? I'm telling you.
I liked the idea. Okay, wait. I have to ask you guys something. Okay, so what did you think about Jesus and what's his name meeting
Aaron.
out Aaron? Yeah, to meet out beyond the scope of everybody. What is going on there?
I don't
It
know.
was tactical training time. See, I mean, he jumped him and knocked him off the horse, and they were fighting back and forth. It was a training session.
And you don't think there's anything like slightly
Erotic.
relationshipy kind of happening there?
Erotic.
He was trying to, just literally knock him off his feet. So yeah, it's a romantic move. He just, knocked him off his feet.
They're gonna have Jesus in a homosexual relationship.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm asking the question. Not. It felt a little bit like there was some kind of something other than just. But I don't know what.
You could look at it this way. No, okay, Rick's gone, Shane's gone. All they're gone. And Daryl doesn't have anybody to romance with. So, Jesus and the other guy, they're the new bromance.
I mean,
for the series.
So then they can have him over for spaghetti.
There you go. Have him for spaghetti.
It kind of works.
Yeah, I think that's where they're going with it, to be honest with you.
That's kind of what I thought too.
That's why they killed off his boyfriend. He doesn't seem to care too much about women.
Didn't seem to. But it's hard to tell. And I don't know, there's a part of me that thinks that in the post-apocalypse, when your population is so small, that you would sort of redefine different kinds of boundaries, different kinds of ideas about relationships, just because and I'm not talking about just from a sexual standpoint. I'm talking about just from like a relationship standpoint where you actually need human interaction. It does seem to me like people would sort of redefine what they think is appropriate, not appropriate, necessary.
Are you saying we're all going gay after?
I don't think that's what I'm saying. No, I'm saying that I think we would be more open to having deeper relationships with people, despite the fact that they were either from the same gender or opposite. I feel like the need for human interaction would supersede a lot.
You know what?
Except Daryl.
It's like, you know what that sounds like?
What?
You sound like a person who literally reads Playboy for the article. like, oh no, it's a zombie apocalypse, so we're gonna have a deeper. No. I think you go to more of a base level. I mean, you get more tribal than ever, I think.
You're right. In one sense, you're right, but in another sense, I don't know. It's when things are at peace and when there isn't conflict that people start reshaping stuff. You don't reshape. Didn't we talk about this the last time? You don't get to reshape society while your society is under threat, right? I mean, your society doesn't change when you're at war. It changes after the war is over. Because that's when you get to do all of those things. You can't do any of those things unless you're at peace. And so I don't know. It just
I don't think you're gay because of the zombie apocalypse. I think that was in you the whole time. It's like alcohol. Alcohol. People always say, "Oh man, I got drunk and I did something I regret or what I didn't." No. All alcohol does is releases your inhibitions and do what you always wanted to do. And that's how I feel like. So if he's hooking up with Jesus, Aaron, then that's who he always was. He was always suspect though from the beginning.
Suspect isn't maybe the right word that I would use. I would just, I guess all I'm saying is just like in a way, I'm really glad that the show is not afraid to bring some of these things out, because it's at least worth exploring on a level that we don't normally see post-apocalyptic anything explore. So it is kind of nice. It's a little bit refreshing. You do have to wonder why there are not very many babies being born, though, don't you? I mean, we know of 2. We don't know very many others
Because they practice safe sex.
in the zombie apocalypse.
Hell yeah. I would.
I would really like to understand that a little bit more, because I really don't.
Think about it. In other words, there's no real, shower facilities or bathing facilities. Everybody getting a little on the kind of on the ripe side. So there's your birth control right there. Like, no.
But if you think, then you ain't gonna probably notice other people's things. But we're all just coming together, spunking up the place.
I actually have yet to see a group of characters from The Walking Dead who didn't actually practice super good hygiene. So clearly they've got, maybe they have all the keys to all of the restrooms along their route.
There is one person that you got to wonder about sometimes, and that would be your buddy, Daryl.
Okay, yeah. Everything that I say in this podcast is excluding Daryl. Yes.
Well,
Daryl don't look like he's seen water for a while.
Yeah, I think
I feel like that's just Daryl's default. Daryl's default is not, he's not dirty. Daryl's default is just, I'm unkempt and nobody cares. This is just who I am. I don't know if it makes him any more attractive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, clearly people find Daryl attractive. A lot of people do. I'm just saying, I don't see it myself. That's all.
Ooh.
I know. That's probably really bad. But you know what? I didn't think that Rick was very attractive either.
Well, let's I'm sure there's a lot of people that will bitterly fight you on that. Not me. I don't care. But no, I don't know. I think it's I think that these whole dynamics are interesting. I don't know, like, what do you think about them making this whole "Where's Eugene" thing such a pivotal thing? It's like,
well, have you noticed that Eugene sort of has kind of stepped up? I mean, like in where, like, now he will actually go after the walkers and kill them, and he's developed some, killing skills actually pretty good, and his character kind of has, to me, made some, about faces, and is actually, more helpful than just being, oh, I'm smart, you protect, instead of being just, I'm smart, protect me. Now he's kind of holding his own a little bit.
Well, and remember when they went up to that water tower, all that stuff is still there. So I realized that some of it might not be usable after it got dropped so far, but they put that stuff up on the water tower to get that, to see if they could get better reception, right?
Right.
And that was Eugene that came up with the plan, and it sort of, and wait, what did he do? I'm trying to remember what he did with Gabriel when they were in in that little office place, but they did something. And so clearly Eugene has a bit of electrical skill or electronic skill that the others don't have. So I think he is actually a valued member. But
it's what I was going to say, after he served Negan for a while, because they were like, oh, he's the scientist, and he's a smart guy, knows all this stuff. Now that he's not, with them anymore, he seems to have brought his new skill set to the old group. In other words, and he's kind of stepping up and being more of a contributor than just a taker. He's actually giving back to the group instead of just like protect me, protect me, protect me. Now he's doing stuff on his own to protect himself and also to help move things forward with the rest of the group.
Well, right. And I mean, he definitely has grown a bit of a spine because I
Right.
can't imagine. Well, actually, you know what? I can imagine. You know how I can imagine? If somebody that you were so attracted to that you were willing to tell them, hey, I think maybe you might be making the wrong choice, and hey, maybe you should look over here at me. If that person was going to go out and do something, you actually might step up and do it, even if you wouldn't have had the courage to do it by yourself. So I kind of can say that maybe his ulterior motive for going out to the water tower had nothing to do with Gabriel's want to try to contact anybody, because he really wanted to talk to Rosita. He really wanted to tell her all of that stuff that he told her.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he also, it really did seem to me like he was at the very least holding his own in terms of being more capable as a person, more of a person instead of just sort of a I don't want to call him a coward, but he did seem really super cowardly. Although, let's face it, without Eugene, basically Sanctuary never would have fallen. There's no way. Right? The Saviors would have been the victors.
Right.
So they do owe him a great deal.
Yeah,
Ed, now I don't know if you remember back in like some of the much earlier episodes, like in season 4, season 5. Notice Eugene actually came out and said, "I am a coward." He actually admitted to being a coward.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did, didn't he?
And he says, I needed you all to protect me because I am a coward. So now that's what I say. He's switched. Now he's holding his own. He's actually making kills, and not being, he's not being like, oh, protect me, I'm smart. Now he's like, he's diving. He's rolled up his sleeves, dove in, and started helping out.
But what I was saying is maybe he's doing that because he's trying to impress Rosita.
And honestly, if they tried to go to him hooking up with Rosita storyline, I swear that might be
that might be a bridge too far.
Yeah, I mean that would make no damn sense on no planet.
It's hard enough for me to imagine Rosita with Gabriel, but it's about a billion times harder with Eugene.
No, I can see Gabriel. I mean, Gabriel had his moments early, but he's been a really good for a while, and but I just can't see. That is just too far.
Well, the thing is, Gabriel's always been pretty solid.
Yeah, so I can see Gabriel. I can't see. Don't give me that nothing about he saved the group and all that crap. Yeah, he did, but he still has so many losses in the loss column too.
He's no Abraham.
But he ain't no. I mean, I can say he's a lot of people.
Well, I was just trying to keep the core group together,
No, when I'm sitting there like, because he, that is when I saw that I was just like, okay, they reaching. they reaching on that.
I don't know. I feel like that's something that Eugene really would do, though. It didn't feel inauthentic to me. I don't think
I'm talking about the idea of him and Rosita.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Okay.
I don't know. I'm right. So I don't even know. You don't know.
I'll accept it for now, I guess. I'll think about it. I'll reflect on it.
There's no reflection. You know I'm right.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
There's
Okay.
hey, like they have a saying when you play dominoes, study long, study wrong. So you don't need to. It is what it is. But he's never really been one of my favorite characters, to be honest with you. Maybe it's residual from him, all that, the lion and all of that stuff. Maybe I just hadn't gotten over it. But I've never like come around on his character. I mean, he had obviously they gave him those moments where he had his heroic moments, and that's cool. But I'm like this. He need to do more than that.
See, this is that's the problem though when you have a show that is set around, and this is why the exit of Rick is so difficult. When you have a show that's set around a clear, are you for or are you against whoever is the main protagonist, that gives you the moral compass of the show. When you remove Rick from the moral compass of the show, now you're sort of left with, well, I don't know where you actually stand,
Mhm.
because it just becomes a little bit more sticky until we actually have that definition, if you will, I guess. But it was pretty easy for us to either like or dislike Eugene based on whether he was for the Rick's group or against Rick's group, and he's done both. So yeah, I don't think there's no good reason to actually think, oh yeah, we should just all forgive Eugene.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
caused a lot of problems.
yeah, and and he's there's something skeezy about him. And to be honest with you, like he's the kind of person that you can make an argument that even when he turned back for the group, that was a self interest more than anything. I think they want you to believe that his character did it, because he had this loyalty. He really didn't have that loyalty like that. I felt like he realized, okay, my bread is better buttered better with that group. I think he did it out of a selfish reason. I love how people are so willing to just be like, you know what, all that stuff you did, man, we forgive you. Like, no, I don't think he did it for I think when he sided with the governor, remember he was liking that. He was all for it. And then he started realizing that, you know what, that maybe this ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when he goes, I'm talking about the governor. I'm sorry,
Negan.
Negan. When he so freely kills, his lieutenant that was by his side. You know what I'm saying? Even though they had, they were after each other. I mean, you can justify it. He knows, man. At what point is it going to be when he decides that he wants me off? Because because he always keeps. Um, I'm talking about Negan. Always kept like this thing. Like you never know when all of a sudden you might just fall out of favor, and next thing you know, you getting your face burnt off. You know what I'm saying? Like you never know. Like at what point am I going to get my face burned off because something he perceived something I did negatively. So I think
And that's a really good point. And again, this sort of goes back to, when you're for or against the protagonist, it's easier, excuse me, to sort of judge the moral compass of the character. And so far, everything that we've ever seen from Eugene has always been a kind of protracted self-interest. So even when the long game seems like, oh, maybe he's coming around, it almost always tends to be something. And that's why I'm saying that I can see why he went off on that journey to the water tower in the context of, I really need to talk to Rosita because I don't like what's happening between her and Gabriel. That felt like, yeah, that's selfish Eugene. That's what he would do. And I'm not diminishing the fact that Eugene has stepped up and was able to do things that he previously hasn't been able to do, and kind of, gotten a stiffer spine and all of that. But he still behaves with that sense of, I just want to be wherever I want to be. And if people can't understand that, well, that's their fault, not mine. And it just, he always feels, like you said, he always feels really sketchy and skeevy.
Yeah, like, let me ask you a question. Would you trust your mother? Would you trust your kid in his care?
No.
No. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, all these people who are like, oh, he's coming around. I'm like, are you kidding me? I wouldn't trust him. He's had moments, but they were always like when Rick does things for the groups, from the group, like it's for the group. He sacrificed his life. Same thing you could even say with Daryl. He he's willing to die for the group. Like he really is someone that, he's made his decision that if it come down to it, that he's willing to die or put his life on the line for something he believes in, which is the group. Man, do you really think that he feels that way? Hell no, he gonna always do what's best for him. So,
Yeah.
And even trying to talk to Rosita when she's in a relationship with Gabriel, that's skeezy.
It really was, wasn't it? I really thought it was.
Yeah, so, and he don't, and is he gonna man up and if it came to blows over that or whatever? No. So that's why I'm like, he's a character that I just, I just find it funny when people give him a pass, like, and I'm like, him?
But
like,
he's
one moment where he, I'm like, yeah, that was a selfish moment. That wasn't a moment where you could sit there and say, oh, okay, he's he is come along, he's come along and all of that. It's almost like with Merle, people would say, oh, he wasn't racist anymore because he helped out Michonne or whatever. It's like, no, he helped out his brother. He knew Michonne was a fighter, you know what I'm saying? And that she would give him a better chance to survive if he, you know what I'm saying? And but people always say, oh no, that showed it right there that he had changed. I was like, stop it.
Well, okay, so this sort of goes back to what we were talking about before with Carol, in that all of these characters have made such a long journey, and the time jump has really heightened that quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But the journey that everybody has been on thus far has sort of given us an opportunity to see the best and the worst of who they can be, right? And that's why I say when newcomers come in, it's kind of interesting because we've already had kind of a long past with a lot of these characters. But what we oftentimes forget is that long history is made up of a lot of choices that we can look back on and say, yeah, you know what? They're probably not going to change their colors that much. I mean, remember how you were saying that this is old Michonne? Well, that sort of goes back to that idea that, right, underneath everything else, Michonne is still Michonne. Mm-hmm. And so if we know that Eugene was Eugene when we first met him, then we can assume that he probably isn't so far from that character. I mean, they don't really do that with the characters on The Walking Dead that I've seen, except the notable exception is Carol. They really have taken Carol on not just a long character arc, but on a journey of a character arc with her. So she's, I think, the notable exception.
I think that's why so many people love her character, because they see the arc, and that's, that is good writing when, you take a character, especially over time, and you can see, the arc, that's what
I agree. I very much agree.
That's what you try to do, as a,
Well, the thing that happens on The Walking Dead, which I feel like is something uncelebrated because it's so mundane, but it actually is what makes it good, is that there is both integrity and continuity in the characters that we see. They don't suddenly one day wake up and act completely different than they were the day before. There's always sort of and even in the time jump, there's always sort of a bit of an easement into it if they're going to change, and then they will still revert back to Daryl was very much a loner for a really long time, and if this is his go-to behavior, even though I didn't understand the mechanism by which they were trying to tell that part of the story, I still understand that Daryl is a loner. I still understand that his go-to coping mechanism is to be alone because he doesn't process well with other people. And maybe if his character arc brings him in contact with more people again and again, you know, he acclimates and he changes. But remember what happened with him and Beth. I mean, there is this kind of like, there's this beautiful symmetry that feels like it happens with the characters on The Walking Dead, where they do something, they retreat, they do something, they retreat, they do something and retreat, and it's not untrue to their character. The same thing could be said true for Rick. Rick very much was like that too.
I love how you say it's beautiful symmetry. That's one way of putting it. That is beautiful symmetry. Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting it. You're like the most hopeful person. I gotta give it to you.
I feel like I'd probably be the first person to die in the zombie apocalypse because I do have optimism. I would be like the one that would definitely not make it because I have too much hopeful optimism. I trust everybody.
Actually, I like that. I like that. You know, somebody who has that kind of attitude about life and stuff like that. It's good. You know, you would be pleasant until you perish.
Until I ultimately died. Yeah.
Right. And look, like 2 years later, I'd be like, I kind of like that Jen.
Oh my God! Remember when Jen said, "Oh, we can all take hope in this." Yeah.
Well, but that wouldn't be your name though. It wouldn't be Jen. In other words, you would be known as Walker Bait.
Yeah.
Oh, Justin's wife? Oh, remember Justin's wife? She was so awesome.
There you go. Yeah, Justin's wife.
Sounds mean. Is jealous. Nice. One of the most cruddiest characters ever on the show, and you gonna marry him?
Yeah. Okay. Well, perception is everything. So whatever.
What?
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Justin's dead, so it doesn't matter.
but I mean, but realistically, if the hopeful optimist is going to die, then you might as well just give me my props, okay? Because
hilarious. You would probably perish right with him.
There's probably no doubt about that. I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about the ending of this episode.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
The ending was, I don't know. It was.
I
don't really have much of an opinion on the ending of this episode. It was like, okay.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to set up the mid-season finale, and it was kind of how can I put it? It was it was cool. I mean, we had to go run out and save Eugene. I didn't really love it because I don't like Eugene. So, I'm like, forget Eugene, let him die.
Oh God.
So, but I mean, it was okay. I mean, it doesn't get me really that a hunt for Eugene it's not like the search for Spock. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like it's not gonna get me excited. Oh, we gotta go save Eugene. Please don't let Eugene die.
Well, clearly, I mean, just based on what we just saw from what's going to happen next week, right? Yeah. The point, I think, of getting them out there to find Eugene is to actually identify that, oh, hey, there's a group of walkers that are behaving really abnormally, right? But I was thinking more along the lines of how they made it almost mandatory that Michonne go to Hilltop.
Right.
Because I have very mixed feelings about that. First of all, I don't like people bossing Michonne around, even if it's the writers. Just definitely makes me think that they shouldn't do that. But secondly, there's something about that that feels contrived. And I don't, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that always feel contrived, but this one, I don't know. Like, did it feel too protracted to you? Like, oh, was there really a doubt that she was not going to go to Hilltop? Because I didn't think that. I thought all along something's going to happen and it's going to make her go to Hilltop because she's fighting against it too hard.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty obvious. I mean that's typical movie TV show stuff. I mean I really didn't I didn't take too great of offense to it or anything because I mean you're sitting there going she's going, like
Exactly.
there was no doubt of it. So I didn't I didn't make a thing of it. You know what I mean? It's just you knew that it would have been a surprise if she ended up not going. Then
right.
Hey, that's surprising.
Also, did it feel to you like maybe the point of bringing Carol to Hilltop, bringing Michonne to Hilltop, bringing the newcomers to Hilltop, having Daryl be at Hilltop, that maybe Hilltop is actually sort of the central point now. And I mean, just based on the sweeping sort of camera shot coming in of how thriving Hilltop is, it feels like maybe we're being set up for Hilltop to be even more important than Alexandria.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, that was pretty obvious. Yeah, I got the same thing.
I just wanted to know if I was the only one that noticed it because it didn't. I mean, it seems to me like in Alexandria, yes, they're making some buildings, and yes, they're kind of making progress and strides, and it's really nice. But it feels to me like the action is actually at Hilltop.
Yeah.
It also conveniently leaves Judith in Alexandria, just kind of interesting.
Look, he just got on the show.
I was just curious if you guys saw the same thing that I did.
No, I saw the same thing. And I'll be honest with you. The season started out really good, but it's starting to regress into that thing that we often talk about. And we don't like the show. So
the Walking Dead black hole.
Yeah, so I'm a little, I was, what? I'm one of the biggest critics of the show, but I'm not, I was enjoying it, but then I'm getting a little nervous. Maybe it's just.
I don't know if that's really true though.
What?
I don't feel like they've regressed. I feel like the loss of Rick is a big enough pause in the story, and the time jump it's a big enough pause in the story that it's going to take us at least 2 episodes to get back into the meat of whatever is going to happen next. And that's not a bad thing. Because if it had started off with just like, let's say that they were confronting who the Whisperers were, or if some other big thing was happening, then I feel like it would leave us feeling too jarred. The episodes were slow. I mean, I made that criticism myself, but in a way, I kind of think that that's what is necessary to ramp up whatever can happen next, because nothing can happen next until we establish not just what the characters have been doing, but what their current strengths are right now.
I think you're a little.
Do you know what I mean?
I think you're a little too nice because it's either good or bad. Either you enjoy it or you don't. It's pretty simple. So no matter, look, it's like this. If you paint a picture, right? And let's say your kids are grabbing at your ankles, the water and power man is banging on your door, all of this stuff, and it leads you to not do your best work, right? When you put it out on the market, nobody wants to hear about all of that crap. They just want to know, is the thing good or not? And my thing is, okay, they know Rick wasn't going to be on the show. They know this, right? So it's like, okay, what are you gonna do about it? Like, how are you gonna, this is when you're supposed to shine.
But you don't think they put forward solid content?
They not post Rick, no. Uh,
Really?
no, no, it was the last two episodes were snooze fest, and I don't want to, and my thing is this: you don't criticize a show because you dislike it. You criticize a show because you like it. If you don't care, you don't say anything because it doesn't matter. So what I'm saying is, we want the show to be great, and
Right.
I think there's stuff there. It's just that you know, it's just not. Maybe it's because it's nine seasons in. Maybe maybe it's beating on a dead horse. Like uh, maybe it's just nine seasons into a show of this type. It's
I
just
I
nothing to do.
I just disagree. I disagree because although okay, again,
Wait.
they were slow.
There's nothing to disagree about. I mean, it's my opinion, so my opinion's not wrong. Is how
I didn't say it was wrong. I'm just saying I disagree with it. That's all. And I think that although the I don't even think the pacing was slow. I don't think the pacing in each episode was slow. Episodically, it felt like, yeah, okay, beginning, middle, and end, first, second, third act. I mean, everything lined up and felt pretty on schedule and right. It's just that they were slow in terms of like, okay, well, what major story did we get advanced and how did we actually learn something about what maybe is going to come next? And that part did feel a bit slow. But I also am totally in sort of a different mode now post Rick, where I don't know who the characters are after our 6 year time jump. And not that I don't know them. Remember, I said continuity, and they've got a really good integrity with their story strains. But I need to understand how Rick's loss has affected everybody, and that I think is sort of slow to unravel. And I don't think I want it all thrown at me real quick, and I don't think I want to jump into the next conflict as quickly
but
either.
but see though, I'm not saying okay. I'll give you this. What I'm saying is, I think we need to redefine slow. I kind of hate when people say it's slow, because to be honest with you, there are other shows like Game of Thrones. And I hate to compare, but there's episodes where there's not a lot of fighting and all of that stuff, but it's always interesting. It's always intriguing. It's always like, you know what I'm saying? There's uh, uh, for the most part, I'll say, because there might be some episodes here and there, but for the most part, it keeps your attention, even when it's not, action and dragons and all of that stuff. And that's where Walking Dead doesn't have that kind of thing going. And I can take that show, like the show The Leftovers. There was no action on that show, but it was intriguing as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were always intrigued. You know what I'm saying? And The Walking Dead falls into these these potholes, or whatever you want to call it, or plot holes, where it, where it just gets into this malaise where you're just not interested in what's going on the screen. And it's not that it's slow. It's not that it's no action. Because to be honest with you, my favorite moments are the moments without the zombies. So I don't care about the action necessarily. I just want to be intrigued by the storyline. Is what I'm
saying.
Because it's kind of not really slow. It just gets more. I guess a better term would be dry. It's just it's just kind of dry. It's just like, okay, you're doing the same. And and it's if it was like every once in a while it'd be right, but sometimes they get like 2 or 3 episodes that are just like, really.
You know what? The terror, very little of the episodes had action, right?
Right.
But they did such a great job that they built up this momentum. So when you got to the action, it was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's by the writing, the acting, you know what I'm saying? Now, of course, they only did one season, and it was the beginning, middle, and end. So they, to be fair to, it's a little harder when it's an ongoing.
Right. Oh well, I mean, even if you pull like some of the other shows that we've done, in other words, okay, Black Sails, there was out of out of 4 seasons, I think there was one, maybe 2 episodes that were kind of eh, but the rest of them, and they didn't all have fighting and battles and stuff in them, but it kept you interested. Even the ones that didn't have any real fights or anything in it, it still kept you interested.
So I'm thinking about all the examples that you guys just gave, and the one thing that stands out to me as being the one of these things is not like the other is The Walking Dead has not had the luxury of having the same group of writers with a vision or the same vision, except that they're basing the information off of the graphic novel, and it's become sort of a writer's soup of adaptation. And so I mean, every time you get a fresh writer or a fresh writing team in there, it does feel like something sort of dynamically changes. But I guess I can see what you're saying. I still think though I like this season so far more than any season since I guess maybe since The Governor.
No, I agree that this season is better, but I'm just saying that the only thing I'm saying is it was interesting until it got to here. Now, my fear is that it's going to get into that space where the show is. There's a certain space that the show operates in where it's negative, right?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I've had lots of criticisms about that too.
And it wasn't there up until these last 2 episodes.
Right.
Episodes. Now, sometimes though, with a long season, now to give them some, they do a longer than the average cable show. There is a certain point where it probably would benefit from having less episodes. I know fans don't want to hear that. It probably would be better at a 12, like a 6-6 versus an 8-8, because it just seems like it's just if they could keep the same budget but with 3 episodes. I'm sorry, with 12 episodes versus 16, I think it would make it, maybe they would tighten up the storylines and all of that kind of stuff. And but like I said, it's been a really good season. Up until this last two, it's been very good. And to be honest with you, there's no excuses. You got to perform. So if I go over to your house on Thanksgiving and that food isn't amazing, I don't want to hear that your kids were coming in the room, they threw you off your game. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna judge the plate you put on the table. So, but and it's unfair. It's really unfair because, but life ain't fair. What Stephen A. Smith says, a fair is a place where they judge pigs.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah. So, but and the reason why I say this is we want it to be great. We want the show to be great again.
Right.
Make Walking Dead great again.
Well, I will say this: it's like, Jen, you are right. When it comes to the apocalypse, you're not going to last long. You're too nice.
I'm too nice. I actually, I was just going to say that I really like the dialogue this season more than I have liked the dialogue in a really long time. But I also recognize that liking the dialogue means that people are talking a lot. Yes. And that just by sheer virtue of what it is for The Walking Dead means that people aren't doing a lot, or that they're conveying things in sort of an idea sequence instead of in an action sequence. And so I think I understand. I was just reevaluating my own sense of, what is it that I find this season that's better than, whatever, and why don't I see what you're seeing? And I think that might be it. You might be right. I might be a little bit blinded to the fact that it hasn't been what I have wanted it to be in a really long time. And now I feel like we're moving back into sort of that content goodness, and I'm not ready to let it go. So yeah, it could be.
And you know what? Like I said, you are a sweetheart, and me and Olaf, we're crabby.
Grumpy old men.
Right. So we're like, so you are for the all the sugar and spice and everything nice, and me and Olaf, we're the crabby ones.
You can be the cantankerous ones.
Yeah, it's like I'd be the cantankerous, you be the walker bait. So we're good.
Yeah. So, but but like I said, this this season has been very good, and I'm overall. So I will definitely say that for the most part, it's just like, okay, just keep it going, guys. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Keep it going. Don't lose your momentum. So especially with all the stuff with the ratings and all that. So before we go, let's take a look at how it's rating. I'm scared to look. So
I knew it took another punch.
Oh yeah, let's see the post Rick ratings.
It was pretty severe.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna find out. I know some fans hate it when you criticize the show, and it's like we criticize because we love it. So calm down, everybody.
If you don't love something, you don't even and it's not, we don't hate on it. I don't think any of us would be here if any of us were really hating on it. None of us would show up to the podcast.
Well,
right. Well, because in other words, we like the show enough that this is us doing the show is kind of like our water cooler time. This is like did you see the episode? What do you think about this? How about this is our water cooler time. So
no, you know what? I mean,
so the way to make you guys nicer is just to drug your water.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that doesn't really work. That's like they've tried that before with me. It's like the drugs don't really. They haven't figured out which drugs actually make me nicer. See, I was like, the thing of it is, I've reached that point in life, or the age in life where life in prison is not a deterrent anymore. So it doesn't matter to me.
I'm looking at the ratings, and it held really good from 5 to 6. I mean, based on what what it's been getting.
Are you talking about from post Rick, or are you talking about after last week?
No, post Rick. I don't know. We don't know about tonight. They haven't did the rating.
No, but we're missing a show.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Really? That show actually did pretty well?
Yeah, I mean it did the same as the Rick show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean virtually virtually the same. So that's pretty good. It held strong.
It's not bad.
I had actually
It's low for that show. I mean, this season's been, but I have it on the screen. See, 541, and then the next week 540. So that's
wow. There was an article. Wow. Okay, so this is why, everybody, you should verify your sources, because I actually had read an article that said that there was a huge dip after Rick, and the speculation was, can it even come back?
It says I mean, just based on that, it says it's the same. Or maybe, wait, it is Wikipedia. Maybe, let me see. Yeah, it says Walking Dead rating steady after Andrew Lincoln's. No, it's steady after. I mean, it didn't go down based on what it was doing, but it's still down from last year. That's what.
Well, I look at The Walking Dead a lot like I look at Game of Thrones, just to use that correlation again, because the core group of people who are invested in the story, I feel like they're invested in the story. They're not going to go anywhere. And it doesn't matter whether there's a little pothole here or a big dip there or something dramatic or whatever. The ratings will go up when there is something huge happening, but the ratings will, I feel like the ratings will always sort of have kind of a level bottom, because there are that many people that are interested in the story. I don't know. I think I mentioned this before, but it reminds me of the kind of diehard fandom that Supernatural has. It's like, it doesn't matter how many times we see Sam and Dean do the same things. We know what's going to happen, but it's a familiar place to be in, and you're invested in it, so you continue to watch. Ben, can you imagine the crossover if we had Sam and Dean on The Walking Dead? Wow.
You mean with Supernatural?
That'd be amazing.
Okay. That'd be interesting.
Do you know how many new people would watch The Walking Dead if Sam and Dean made an appearance?
So that would be so desperate.
I feel like you're right, but just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Would it be worth?
This is why we have fan fiction. This is why we have fan fiction.
Yeah. Fan fiction.
Definitely add a different twist to the show. So it could be a good thing. It could be the shout in the arm it needs.
I forbid it. I mean, I absolutely forbid it. No.
On that note,
not happening.
On that note, let's start with Jen. How can people get you in social media and tell us about your websites and all that good stuff?
I'm on Twitter at followingbliss1, and I'm on the web at www.moviesmakethemeal.com and criticallaughs.com.
And what about you, Olaf? How can people get you?
Well, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Olaf Barbosa, and we'll throw something out here. I'm going to start a kind of a challenge for me. Kinte knows it's like every year around about this time of the year, we get close to Christmas, and I do my Santa Claus thing. So I actually have a full-on beard that I grow out so I can play Santa. And as soon as I'm done with my Santa, it comes off. And for the next month or two, I play around with different style, hair or facial styles. I go like a bat stash, or Tony Stark, or what was the other one? The not Game of Thrones, but Hunger Games styles of beards. So I think I'm going to try to put together a little contest. It's like, and let you all, the listeners, decide what I should do with my beard, hairstyle and beard, after I get done with Santa. So just have a little contest, and y'all can send in what you think would be a good look for me. And for about 2 months, about every 2 weeks, I change my beard anyway. So I think it'd be kind of fun just to see what you all come up with as a style for me. So I will get that put together sometime, but it's like by the next show, it's like how we can do that. But right now, just follow me on Twitter at Olaf Barbosa, and we'll go from there.
All right, you can follow me at Kinte F on Twitter. It's KINTE F, and you can go to our website, imbyradio.org. That's imbyradio.org. We won't be on for Mars Venus for the next 2 weeks, but we will be back for 100th episode on December the 3rd. And then also No Spotlight as well. We will be recognizing, of course, Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll be back for the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead on Sunday next week. So we will see you. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening.